So what we're going to cover today is talking about factoring quadratic trinomials, except that these quadratic trinomials don't look like quadratic trinomials, but really they are. So that's what we're going to be working on today. And if you take a look at this first trinomial, 2x squared minus 7x minus 15, we've learned methods to factor this. We can either use guess and check, or we can use the box method to factor this. Now here's the fact. If you can factor this, you can factor these. These are really the same quadratic trinomial, except that, for example, we may have some extra y's with the lasts, or extra y's with the firsts, or start with an x to the fourth or an x to the sixth, or have our x squared not with the first but with the last. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm going to show you how each of these is factored if we know how the basic quadratic trinomial 2x squared minus 7x minus 15 is factored. So first of all, we've got 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. And you can use guess and check or the box method, and you'll find that this is 2x plus 3x minus 5. Now, knowing that, we're going to do all the rest of these. This example has a y squared with the lasts and a y in the middle. So what we're going to do is put a y with the lasts. And you'll notice when we figure out the inners and the outers, we will have a y with them, just like our middle term has a y. This particular one has a y squared with the firsts. So when we factor it, we're going to take the same numbers, 2x plus 3x minus 5, we're going to put a y with the firsts. You'll notice when we find the inners and the outers, we're going to have variables x, y, which is what we have in the middle of our quadratic trinomial. Now this one, instead of starting with x squared and having an x in the middle, starts with x to the fourth and has an x squared in the middle. So the way that we factor this, instead of using an x and an x, we're going to use an x squared and an x squared. And notice when we calculate using FOIL what our inners and outers are, they will have the variables x squared. All right? This one starts with x to the sixth, and in the middle it has an x to the third. We're going to factor this. Instead of using an x and an x, we're going to use an x to the third and an x to the third. That gives us an x to the sixth in the first position, and when we calculate the inners and the outers, we've got x to the third and our middle term. Now our last one has the same numbers, 2, -7, and -15, in the same order. It's just that the x squared is with the lasts instead of with the firsts. So when we factor this, we're going to keep the same numbers, 2 and 3, 1 and -5, 2 and 3, 1 and -5, except instead of putting an x with the firsts, we're going to put our x with the lasts. All right? We practiced doing this before we learned how to do the trinomials that had a number in front of the x squared. So this should be somewhat familiar to you. So what we're going to do is go ahead and do another set of examples at the bottom of the page. And the first one we have here is the basic one. 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. And what I'm going to do is, for the benefit of some of you that need some work on the box method, I'm going to do this one using the box method. Okay, the 2 is first, it goes here. The -12 is last, it goes here. When we multiply those, we get -24. So what I need to figure out is two numbers that multiply to -24 and add to my middle number, which is 5. And that would be 8 and -3. 8 and -3. So we're going to put them in the boxes that are left, and it doesn't matter which one we put where. Now go to your first column, factor out the greatest common factor. Here we just have a 1. The rest of this is your multiplication. 1 times what gives us 2? That would be 2. 1 times what gives us -3? That's -3. And 2 times what gives us 8? That's 4. So the 1 and the 4 and 2 and -3 mean that our factors are x plus 4 and 2x minus 3. And if you want to check this, all you have to do is FOIL it. All right, so my next one has the same numbers. The only difference is at the end it has a y squared and in the middle a single y. So all that means for us is that when we write out these factors, we're going to put a y here and a y here. So this is x plus 4y, 2x minus 3y. This example has a y squared in the first position. So what we're going to do is go back to our original factors and we're going to put a y with the x in the firsts. So this would be xy plus 4 and 2xy minus 3. In the next example, I'm starting with an x to the 4th. So instead of using an x and an x in my factors, I'm going to use an x squared and an x squared. So this becomes x squared plus 4 and 2x squared minus 3. Notice that when I FOIL this, my inners and my outers have the term x squared, which is what we have in the middle. All right, the next one starts with x to the 6th. So instead of our factors having an x and an x, they're going to have x to the 3rd and x to the 3rd. So that gives us x to the 3rd plus 4, 2x to the 3rd minus 3. And notice, when we calculate our inners and outers, when we FOIL, we're going to have the term x to the 3rd, which is what we get in the middle. This last one has the same exact coefficients, the 2, the 5, and the -12. The only difference is the x squared is at the end instead of at the beginning. So that means when we write our factors, our x is going to go in the last position. So we start here with x plus 4. Well, this is a 1x. So what we're going to have here is 1 plus 4x. The x will go at the end. Here we have 2x minus 3. This will be 2 minus 3x. It's just that the x has moved from the first position to the second position.